Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talk of the Town podcast. If you have not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So we're now on the road to 400 subscribers here on the YouTube channel. If you love sports content, sports talk, anything from sports betting to updated rankings every week, it's all right here on the Talk of the Town podcast. And speaking of updated rankings every week, we have Top 10 Tuesday today. If you're not familiar with Top 10 Tuesday here on the YouTube channel, at the end of every week in the NFL, like this week, week 9, week 8, week 7, week 6, whatever it is, we re-rank the top 10 teams and QBs heading into the next week of the NFL. So let's get right into that. But first, let's actually react to the Cardinals and Cowboys game here. A lot of people have been calling this game an upset. The Cowboys got upset. To me, I think the Cardinals were actually the favorites in this game, to be honest with you. I think if you took them roster for roster, if you remove the quarterbacks, Dak, Brissett, Kyler, Joe Milton, I don't care who, remove all the quarterbacks, you just go roster for roster. I would take the Cardinals roster all day over the Cowboys. And last night, it showed. I mean, one thing that is going around, that's buzzing around this morning with the Cardinals is, will Kyler Murray ever play again in a Cardinals jersey? The last few weeks, Jacoby Brissett has stepped in, and he's actually looked very good. I think they look better with Brissett in there, and he looked fantastic last night. He had a couple touchdowns, just moving the ball up and down the field at will. Now, the Cowboys defense can make anyone look pedestrian, at least. I mean, this defense is, them and the Bengals feel like just by far and away the worst defenses in the league. Like, it actually feels like a legitimate, it's always an accomplishment getting a stop, but it feels like a serious sigh of relief when they get one stop in a game. I mean, I know the Cowboys had the blocked punt yesterday, but that was more of a special teams thing. I mean, their defense just sucks. And here's the thing is, like, Marvin Harrison had a career high in catches last night. And no, it wasn't 10 catches. It wasn't 15 catches. It wasn't even 8 catches. It was 7 catches. A guy who was picked 4th overall in the draft has had a career high in catches last night in 7 catches. And he was seen as a generational receiving talent. Now, I don't think all that is his fault. He's had some confidence issues, of course. I mean, he's had some really bad drops. But again, I think a lot of that is just confidence. Him and Kyler Murray have zero connection. But clearly him and Brissett have some sort of connection. And Troy Aikman mentioned last night on the game that the offensive coordinator for the Cardinals, Drew Petzing, that he loves running Brissett in the shotgun. And that's the offense he loves running. I can't exactly quote it word for word, but that's basically what he said. And you can't do that with Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray has a legitimate issue with seeing the field. He just does. And that's why, like, are they going to bench Kyler for the rest of the year? There's some kind of talks about it. The games they've lost, like, this team could legitimately be undefeated. I mean, they've lost multiple games by 1 point, and every game they've lost this season has been by 1 score, and at most 4 points. They've lost a couple of games by 4 points. They've lost a couple by 2 points or 1 point. I think they lost one by 3 to the Seahawks. So, I think their season's actually still somewhat alive, even though I don't think there's any chance they go on to win the NFC West. But they might be able to snag the 7th seed, maybe. It's a low chance. I think you are limited with Brissett still. I think they're playing better with them, because Petzing's offense, people should shit on him since the start of the year. I mean, they really, Cardinals fans have been cheering for this guy's job for weeks. They can't stand him, but the offense looks a lot more crisp. The team looks a lot better with Brissett in there. I just think he fits better in the system. And one of the things is, he's a lot bigger than Kyler. And again, there's no doubting Kyler Murray's athleticism in this league. Not at all. He was like a top 10 pick in baseball. He was the number 1 overall pick like 6 years ago to the Cardinals, obviously. There's no shortage of talent. The thing is, what there's a shortage in is his height. He can't see anything. And that's why when you look at him on the field, he doesn't have that connection with Marvin Harrison, because he can't see him down the field. It's not like he's blind. He literally can't see him. but it's very hard for him. He can't sit in the pocket. He can't at all. You notice Kyler's just constantly going like this all over the place, running all over the field just so he can see. He can't even see over his offensive lineman. And I know it might sound like a little cliche, I guess, to say that, like, yeah, well, he's short, or I guess like kind of Captain Obvious. Yeah, Matt, no shit, he's short. But it's a real issue. Like, when I watch Bryce Young with the Panthers, he's short, and sometimes he does have issues seeing down the field. But Kyler just feels a little different. Like, as short and as short as small as Bryce Young feels, Kyler just feels like that little bit smaller for some reason. And when it comes to like being small in this league, like this amount is a lot. It counts for a lot. When you have guys who are like 6'6" on your offensive line, it can mean a lot. So I just think with the way the offense is flowing right now with Brissett, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a benching that's just kind of like a soft benching, like, hey, dude, if you want to nurse this injury for a little bit, we got you. We'll just keep sticking to Brissett, just kind of get healthy, and we'll see how things go from here. Or like, dude, you're just on the bench. Like, Brissett's just playing better than you. So you're going to be like a real hard benching. I guess we'll see. And the thing is like, they're paying him a lot of money. And there's been some rumors this morning of like, could there be a potential trade with Kyler Murray this morning? First off, absolutely not. And first, it's not set in stone that Kyler Murray is going to be benched either. Like, they could be fully planning on starting him like next week. You never know. I think Kyler now is going to be looking at some of these articles, like the media's chatting around about Kyler. He's hearing this stuff. He's like, okay, I probably need to get back on the field now because his job's in jeopardy. Now, not his job again isn't in jeopardy 2%. While it is right now, but I just mean for future reference, like, they're going to go look for somebody else probably. I don't think they're going to go and legitimately roll out Brissett to be a starting quarterback. We see how that rolled with the Patriots last year. And while I think the Cardinals roster now is way better than New England's roster was last year, but I think there's going to be other guys available. Maybe Mac Jones isn't available. He's on a 2-year contract. But if they were to make a trade, I mean, you could trade 5th round pick in San Francisco and snag that up in 2 seconds. So, it's going to be impossible to put him anywhere. It's like Tua. People are saying in this offseason, like, yeah, they're probably going to ship off Tua, trade him, whatever it is, even cut him. But that's going to be hard to do. It's like, who are you going to replace him with that's better? Meanwhile, they're not playing great this season. It's hard to replace these guys unless you really feel comfortable in your draft position. You feel comfortable about, hey, maybe we can trade up. A guy will be here. Like, you feel comfortable with someone in this draft, then you feel like can be a legitimate franchise quarterback and cut and bait with someone you're paying damn near $300 million to. They're on like $240-something million contracts. So both of them. And so it's going to be hard to trade these guys. Like, who even has the cap space more or less right now than just later to give these guys a shit ton of money and take on this contract. So I think Kyler's going to want to get back out there. And I think they'll end up putting him back out there, to be honest with you. But there is a chance, and I think it's probably a near 50% chance, to be honest with you, that maybe Kyler Murray does get benched. And he's on a short leash at least. I think if he does go out there, he kind of sucks up the joint, and next thing you know, you look up, the Cardinals are down 17-0 or something, and they can't get anything going at halftime. Whatever his next game, 2 weeks from now, whatever it is, they're going to stick in Brissett. There's no doubt about it. Like, this guy is on a short leash. It's just like, hey, it's your job to lose at this point. It's like, no, like, this is literally your job to lose. Like, if you go out there and you have a couple of bad possessions, you throw a turnover, we're down early, 10-0 in the first, you're probably going to come out, dude. And maybe we'll probably never see you in a Cardinals jersey again. Whether or not that happens, I guess we'll see. But when you have guys like Marvin Harrison, when his career high he had last night was 7 catches, and not even 10 catches, just 7. And it was a 4th overall pick they just invested a lot into over the last year and a half in his career. And it's only 7 catches. That's brutal. And I don't think all that is on Harrison. He's had some drops. He's had some ugly moments. But like last night, you look at that route that he had on Deron Bland, where he just shook him out of his damn shoes, like in the end zone. People were calling that the Big X the plug route. I don't know if y'all have ever seen that clip. It's the rapper, If you guys don't know who that is, man, and he is just, I mean, this guy is massive. I listen to him, I like his music, but I mean, just big as hell, like just a big semi-truck looking guy, and just it runs like this little zigzag route up the field. I forget it. I don't know if it was like a commercial or whatever it was. I forget what it was, but even just like a YouTube video, I forget. But like, that's what it was. The route wasn't really anything like too special and just shook around bland, which goes to show you all about this Cowboys defense, which they did make a trade for Logan Wilson this morning, which I thought for the Bengals was, I thought that was one of their better players, like one of their better linebackers. They ended up trading a 7th-round pick for Logan Wilson. And I'm just like, bro, the Bengals, like, you guys just had one of the worst defensive performances I've ever seen. And really the last 2 years, you guys have been like on a generational run of shit defense. And now you guys trade, from my knowledge, what he's been last year. I don't necessarily know his statistics this year. Maybe he's dropped off. I don't know. But if he has, let me know. I'll check. Actually, I'll check his stats after this game. So maybe I'll look like a real idiot. I don't know. But I'm going off what I've seen from Logan Wilson the past couple of years. He's been really good. And they ended up trading him for a 7th-round pick. I just think that's the Bengals in a nutshell. I really do. Like, I feel like if there's a Bengal moment, it's like, hey, we just had one of the worst defensive collapses really ever, to be honest with you. Like, it was terrible. They could go down as an all-time moment, especially for the franchise. Let's say for the franchise, at least. Like, there's bad moments everywhere. And we trade Logan Wilson for a 7th-round pick. Like, I don't know. That's just the Bengals in a nutshell. And the Cowboys defense is just atrocious. Like, moving to the Cowboys here. And, there's been some, like, kind of some buzz around talking about Dak. Because the MVP talks kind of went to his head a little bit. Like, hey, dude, you're playing like a top 5 quarterback or an MVP candidate. They've had a really bad couple of weeks, like against Denver, the Arizona last night. They just really weren't in that game at all last night. Like, the Cardinals just felt in control of that game the entire night. And that defense can't stop a nosebleed. I mean, they're horrible. They really are terrible. They've been bad all year. Like, I do believe in I do think Schottenheimer and that offense has been great. And I think Schottenheimer, like, there's nothing being talked about with him being fired on the hot seat or anything like that. He's a first-year head coach, and the offense has been fantastic. Like, the offense has not been his fault. It's just the defense. And, whether or not Logan Wilson will make a difference, it can't get any worse at this point. But they have 2 first-round picks. They got the Green Bay first-round pick for Micah Parsons. So I even think if Micah was here, to be honest with you, this secondary just gets torched. There's only so much one person can do. And I think even if Micah was here, this team would still have issues on defense. I really do. I think it's an all-around unit kind of thing. Like, they just have a lot of holes. They really do. Like, there's even other spots on that defensive line as well. But they have 2 first-round picks. And I think they have to really invest in their defense. Like, the thing is, the Cowboys can turn this operation around quick. And the same with the Cardinals. I forgot to mention with the Cardinals, but, like, the Cardinals, you see all these one-score games, like, they're so close to being literally an undefeated team right now. Sorry, my phone fell. I was trying to hurt my phone. They're so close to being an undefeated team right now. And it's like, if they have another offseason or so of drafting maybe an offensive lineman, of maybe getting another quarterback, getting another pass rusher, whatever it is. Like, the Cardinals could be in contention, and so could the Cowboys. There's nothing wrong with the Cowboys offense. I think they're going to extend Pickens, to be honest with you. But, you got CD. I think maybe they should try investing in another running back. Like, Javonte has been really good, but still, I think they could still use another running back. They need defense more than anything. They really do. If they go out and they start drafting offense, and it's over for the Cowboys. I don't think they will, but they need to draft some secondary, draft another linebacker, draft a pass rush. Like, they have holes, but it can be fixed in a year. And Jerry Jones maybe goes out and makes some splash plays in the offseason. Maybe makes another trade in free agency here today. Today is the last day for it, so I guess we'll find out. But yeah, man, I think the Cowboys are, and I said a couple of weeks ago, like, the Cowboys were low-key in the NFC East race, but they're not in it anymore. The slim chance they have of maybe making any run into getting into the playoffs is snagging that 7 seed. which is a tight race. You have the entirety of the NFC North. You have Carolina right now, maybe Atlanta still. I don't really know. I don't trust Atlanta to make any sort of run, to be honest with you. They just seem to beat themselves every week. I mean, they lost a couple days ago to John Parker Romo missing an extra point. Like, that's just, if there's a Falcons moment, there it is right there. So and that 7 seed is open, but it's a very competitive thing, and them having that tie is just kind of killing them. So and again, like, it's November 4th, and the NFC East just feels locked up. Like, we're not even in early December or mid-December. Like, we are in November 4th, and the NFC East already feels like it's over. The Eagles just already have it. They've been making trades. Michael Carter, Jalen Phillips yesterday for a 3rd-round pick. They could end up making even more trades today. You never know with the Eagles. Maybe even as we're speaking right now. I haven't checked my phone or anything recently. So I checked it way earlier this morning, but I've been prepping, recording here this morning at school this morning, so I haven't really been on my phone much. So whether or not they made a trade or they're going to make a trade later, I guess we'll find out. Wouldn't surprise me. Howie Roseman's been on the ball with these trades. But, the NFC East just feels locked up to the Eagles at this point already. So the real only shot the Cowboys have is to snag that 7 seed. Like, the Commanders, Jane Daniels, gruesome injury. They just have injuries all around, and the Giants and the Commanders will look up and they could both be 3-10 and trying to get the number 1 overall pick, or at least a top 5 pick, which I think they'll both have. So that thing's locked up there in the NFC East, and that's really the only real shot the Cowboys have. So yeah, man, let's get into top 10 Tuesday here real quick. Let's get into the top 10 teams. We'll just kind of fly through these here today. As I try to anyway, like, there's no need to go on a long discussion about a lot of these teams. A lot of them on bye weeks, or a lot of these guys just keep on winning as it is. And you do have some losers in here, but let's see here. Honorable mentions, or for my honorable mention for my top 10 teams, I got the Packers at my honorable mention spot. They dropped out of the top 10. They were actually at number 6, and now they end up falling all the way down to the honorable mention. They play down to their opponent. You have an offensive head coach with an identity crisis on offense, which is a little concerning. I'm not pressing the panic button on the Packers yet, but I'm a little concerned the way they play down to their opponents. But then you see them play Pittsburgh. You've seen Pittsburgh against the Colts this past week, and then you've seen the Packers play the Steelers a few weeks ago, and they just beat the crap out of them. I mean, they just really beat them like a drum. I mean, it was terrible. So we know they can play, and they're still 5-2-1. Like, they're not 3-4 or 3-5 or something like that. It's like, they're last in their division. They're starting to fall behind the Bears, the Vikings now. Like, does this seem cooked? Like, no, they're not. They just have to find themselves. They have to find an identity on offense. I think their defense has actually been playing pretty well. People have been making a big deal about Micah Parsons not having a pressure against Carolina for the first time in his career, by the way. So I don't really think that's anything to worry about there. The guy's superhuman. And just because he doesn't get a pressure one time does not mean, like, hey, this defense and this team is cooked. Carolina's just played a really good game all around there. They've actually had a pretty underrated offensive line this year. So, yeah, man, Packers got to figure out how to run the ball better with Josh Jacobs and not have it kind of feel like a free-for-all with Jordan Love and the receivers out there. It's like, hey, guys, go deep. Jordan Love will find it. That's what it feels like their offense is. Like, yeah, just whatever. We'll just run whoever we got out there. Number 10, I had the Kansas City Chiefs. They were like the number 2 spot, but they're not in the playoffs as of this moment, as if the season ended today, which I don't care because it's not going to end today. But I just still think the Chiefs are fine. Like, I think we're going to look up and the Chiefs are probably going to be in the AFC Championship again. Even though they're not in the playoffs as we speak as of November 4th, they'll manage to get in somehow. Whether or not it's a 7 seed, 6 seed, just as long. If the Chiefs do manage to get in, then I think we could very well end up seeing them in the NFC Championship. I think they're still the favorites to win the Super Bowl. At least they were yesterday morning. They were the favorites to win the Super Bowl. So it's all over the place right now. I'm going to drop them to 10, though, because I feel like a lot of these teams are playing better. And so far in this moment here, I'm not worried about January right now or anything like that. I'm worried about week 9 going into week 10 of the NFL here. Number 9, I have the Eagles. I'm on a bye week this week, so not too much to talk about. I don't move them up nor down. I did move some teams over them, but things have been trending in the right direction for Philly. It looks like their offense is finally starting to get back on track. Jalen Hurts has been playing really well, and that's what matters for Philly there. Number 8, I have the Detroit Lions. It's starting to concern me with their defense. Like, their defense is concerning, and their offense hasn't been that great over the last couple of weeks. It's been fine. They scored 24 points against Minnesota. It's a divisional game, but their defense and their defensive injuries have been concerning over the last few weeks. Like, their secondary is just getting torched. I mean, J.J. McCarthy was really kind of tearing them apart. They had that interception. J.J. McCarthy kind of threw it behind. I forget who it was. Was it Naylor? I forget who it was, but threw it behind. I think it was Terran Arnold that ended up ripping it out of their hands, and that was really kind of the only stop they really had, to be honest with you. I mean, Aaron Jones was tearing them apart from the backfield, and yeah, man, I think that Lions defense is very concerning. That's why I dropped them down so far, because I love their offense. I still love the Lions, and I think they'll be fine. But their defense right now to this point, going into Week 10, is a massive concern for me. Number 7, I have the Indianapolis Colts. They've been number 1 on my list the last few weeks, but they do take a pretty big beating against the Steelers. Even though the score doesn't look like it was, they were never in that game. They weren't. Maybe in the first quarter they were, but that game was not close. That game did not feel close at all. Pittsburgh, their defense was just destroying that Colts offense all day. They were just taking it to them. So, and I mentioned it yesterday in my podcast, like, the Colts, it's a little concerning, like, how fast they hit the panic button there. Like, they got to stop running it with Taylor for a little bit, which led to a lot of Daniel Jones turnovers. Which, if that starts turning into a thing, then the Colts are screwed, because Daniel Jones has been really safe with the football. But that's the thing, is like, you're not going to be able to be up by 20, 21 points come January against a lot of these teams. Like, the Colts just aren't going to be able to do that. If they do it, very likely going to be in the playoffs. They're going to have to play a lot of close games, which means you're going to have to rely a lot on Daniel Jones to not make bad passes, not turn over the ball. Like, Daniel Jones is great when they're up by 14, 20 points, something like that, because he's not worried about turning over the ball. He just takes the short stop, just controls time of possession. But come January, whether or not they're down 7, you have to trust him to drive you down the field. You're not relying on Jonathan Taylor to just get 5-6 yards at a time. That's kind of concerning. It is to me a little bit. So that's something to keep an eye out there with the Colts. But I still think they're fine, though. They're still way in the top 10 here at number 7. Number 6, I had the Seattle Seahawks coming off of a big-time win against the Commanders this weekend. I like the Seahawks a lot. They're one of my favorite teams in the league. In terms of how they just play, I think they're one of the best teams in the league. They just missed the top 5 spot right now. And their defense is playing great. JSN has really just been pretty unguardable, to be honest with you. The way he's excelled his game over the last couple of seasons has been pretty incredible. And now the way Darnold's playing with him, which just feels like a notch better than Geno, is just really benefiting his play a lot. So I think the Seahawks team is sneakily very scary. They're being talked about, but they're not being talked about with the Rams, the Eagles, the Lions. And I feel like they're better than some of those teams right now. I just do. I feel like they're better than the Eagles. I feel like they're better than the Lions. Like, I feel like they're the 3rd best team in the NFC right now. I really do. So that's why I have them ranked at number 6. Number 5, I have the Buffalo Bills. They've been a fringe top 10 for me the last couple of weeks. Their defense has been concerning, but I thought they had a really good game against the Chiefs. Sorry, I had to crack my neck there, man. I thought they had a really good game against the Chiefs over the weekend. Again, they own the Chiefs in the regular season. That's just not the postseason, which is when it really matters, I guess. But I thought they played really good. Josh Allen doing his thing. And I thought their defense actually played really well as well. So, big bonus there to the Bills. If their defense can step up and play like how we know they can play, maybe get some of these guys back from injury. Joey Bosa really stepped up in that Chiefs game. This team will be a serious threat in the AFC, which they are already, but even more so than they are now. Number 4, I have the New England Patriots. Just a team that's right now over the Bills. I know the Bills have had a bye, and then I'm beating the Bills, I guess, about a month ago at this point or so. They're rolling right now. They didn't have the greatest game against the Falcons. They did win due to a missed extra point, but a win is a win. Drake May had a couple of turnovers. He had a fumble that was lost and ended up basically giving Atlanta a touchdown with like 20 seconds in the first half. They had a really bad interception over the middle. I still think this Patriots team still has a little bit of growing pains that they get through every week. But, in a few weeks when maybe, man, some of those growing pains are kind of gone, they're getting through some of this. I think one thing that's really impressive with New England is like how they're really like flowing every week, how they're going through adversity every week. Like it kind of seems like, hey, having a little bit of a struggle here. Mike Vrabel seems to fix it like that. Now, every team is going to struggle, come some weeks. They just do. Not every team can play perfect every week, but man, New England is really playing great. I mean, Gonzalez, what a boost he's been. I think they're undefeated since they batted back. Seriously, they might be 9-0 if they had Gonzalez to start off the season. They probably would have beat Las Vegas and Pittsburgh. So, yeah, man, that's a big plus to have him back, and they've been rolling. They're number 4. Number 3, off of bye week is Tampa Bay. Now, speaking of New England, Tampa and New England play this weekend. That is going to be a really good game, and that's going to shake up these rankings a lot. Whether or not each team loses, whichever team loses, most likely is not going to drop out of the top 10. I can't foresee it. I can't see Tampa nor New England dropping out of the top 10 due to a loss. But that's going to be one of the games of the week right there. That's going to be a really good game to watch. A lot of fun there. And whichever team wins that could very well end up moving up to number 2, maybe even 1 if either one of these next couple teams end up losing here. So it's going to be a big game here this weekend, especially for my top 10 teams here. But I got Tampa at number 3. Number 2, I have the Denver Broncos, which I don't necessarily think they've been playing all too well, like all that well. But the way they played against the Texans, which they struggled, which any team that plays against the Texans struggles. That's how good their defense is. D'Amico Ryan's coaches an incredible Texans defense. They just had no offense at all, and Stroud ended up getting hurt. The way the Broncos play in these close games is seriously something to keep an eye on. Because when it comes to January, when you end up playing in the AFC Divisional, the AFC Championship, wild card round, whatever it is, hell, even the Super Bowl, if they end up getting there, they end up getting any of these rounds. How you play in close games shows how well of a contender you are. That's why with the Chiefs last year, when everyone was like, well, they're 11-0 in one-score games, the rest, this and that, whatever it is. 11-0 in one-score games, to me, is more impressive than like being 11-0 and winning by 20-plus points every game. Because you're not going to be able to win by 20-plus points against Buffalo in Highmark Stadium when it's snowing out. You're not going to be able to do that. But the Broncos in these one-score games, in these games, like against the Giants a few weeks ago, when they're down big with 15 minutes left, and they ended up pulling off a rally, and they've just find ways to win in close games in situational football, to me, that's what makes you a really top-tier football team, and that's what they've been doing. So definitely have to give them credit there, and I have them at number 2. At number 1, though, new number 1 here this week, the Los Angeles Rams. They have been playing fantastic. I love their offense. Puka Nakua's back. He plays very hard as a receiver. Like, he is a very physical receiver. And he plays hard. He runs hard, which leads to a lot of injuries. Like, he ended up getting injured again in that Saints game. Apparently, he was fine. I think he ended up coming back in for a little bit. But that's kind of the thing with his play style, man. It's like, he makes a lot of really ridiculous plays. And he runs hard, and he's physical. But he's going to take a lot of hits and a lot of injuries due to his play style. So that's really the only concern I have with the Rams. This defense is fast. It's fierce. Like, it's this offense, or their defense feels like just like physical and fast as hell. Like, they are just a hard hitting unit. It's just like really hellish to go against. I can only imagine what it's like. Like, you look at your schedule and you circle that Rams game because it's like, bro, I'm not trying to play against this damn defense. And that offense, too, can make plays. They feel like the best team in the NFC and in the NFL in general right now. They're just rolling. Stafford, to me, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. This Adams and Nakua receiving duo has been fantastic. Kyron Williams and now Blake Corum kind of starting to come out of the backfield. It's been fantastic as well. So, yeah, man, I got the Rams at number 1 here this week. So that's it for my top 10 teams here this week. Let's move into top 10 QBs here to end off the video. In my honorable mention spot, where I had his team at, I had Jordan Love falling out of the top 10. He had some really just pretty hard to watch throws against Carolina. He had an interception that was in triple coverage down the field that stood no chance at all, and it was underthrown. And then he had one that should have been picked and housed. That was across his body. It was, I'm sure you guys have probably seen it. It was one of the worst throws I've ever seen. I mean, it was really bad. He just didn't have a good week against Carolina. Carolina definitely had his number and ended up moving him out of the top 10 this weekend. Just not great. At number 10, I had Justin Herbert. One thing that worries me with Herbert, in terms of just like maybe his health and in general, just in terms of maximizing his play, is Joe Alt got carted off and he's getting season-ending surgery. We know Rashawn Slater has been out the entire year and he hasn't even played a snap because he got hurt in preseason. Now Mekhi Becton suffered injuries. Like when you're missing both your tackles and both of your starting running backs, even though Vidal stepped in pretty well, it's tough. They ask a lot of you with a lot of pressure, literally, guys in your face, and it's hard. That's going to be hard to overcome for him. So I worry about that in terms of his play a little bit. That is that going to hinder his play because it's not his fault. But at the same time, like, you kind of look at the other side of the coin. It's like, if this guy makes it work and he's out here just tearing and ripping teams apart, that's going to make Herbert look all that much better. It really is, because that's going to be pretty incredible missing that many players in your backfield in general and on your offensive line. Number 9, I'm Jalen Hurts on a bye week this weekend. He's been fantastic passing the football. He really has, especially the last couple of weeks. I think he has like 1 interception. I forget his total touchdowns. Of course, he has a shit ton of rushing touchdowns. But, in terms of his passing touchdowns, he's been great. He's actually been really good passing the ball. That deep ball he has is fantastic. One of the best in the league, and I got to give him credit to where he's at. Number 8, I have Sam Darnold. He just keeps kind of moving up the list every week. He's been hovering around 10 honorable mentions just because these guys keep winning and they're playing very good, of course, because they're all top 10 quarterbacks. But, yeah, man, Sam Darnold at number 8 coming off of, at the end of a perfect game against Washington. I mean, phenomenal. I mean, you got to move him up after a performance like that. Again, I still think even though Minnesota won with McCarthy this weekend, I think they're still kicking themselves watching Darnold and the Seahawks roll at 7-2 and how Darnold's playing like an MVP candidate at the moment. Number 7, I had Jared Goff. I did have a pretty good game against Minnesota. He had a couple touchdowns. He didn't have any picks or anything like that, but, he's just playing like Jared Goff, pocket passing quarterback, picking teams apart. And they got a lot of pressure on Goff over the weekend, which I think has been kind of stalling their offense a little bit. Their offensive line quite hasn't been playing as well as it has in the past. But they had a lot of pressure on Goff, kind of got to him a little bit. Didn't end up throwing any turnovers or anything, but I just think some of these guys had better weeks and just have been better in general so far this season. Number 6, I have Drake May. He leads in like QBR. He leads in a couple of major QB statistical categories. Try saying that 10 times fast. He didn't necessarily have the greatest week either. He had a fumble. He had a kind of an ugly interception down the middle, overthrown, and right to Jesse Bates down the field. But still, statistically, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's top 3 in MVP voting right now, especially probably with Jonathan Taylor and then moving down, maybe even Pat Mahomes. I'm sure Josh Allen's leading in MVP voting this week. I have to check the numbers after this video, but I was still debating on keeping him in the top 5, but I still have some of these guys up here, especially with a guy coming back and playing as well as we know he's going to play and coming off a very good performance, which you guys will see shortly. But yeah, man, I got May at 6. He's been freaking phenomenal. I mean, really, if you wanted to move him up to like number 2, I wouldn't even complain. But these guys are all just playing so well. 5 on a bye week, Baker Mayfield, not too much to talk about there. He was leading the MVP race to start off the year, kind of cooled down a little bit, but still playing like a top 5 QB. He's probably going to get some of his guys back over the weekend here against New England. So, we'll see here. But Baker has just been phenomenal. Again, still, what a story he's been. His comeback story and everything. Same thing with Darnold, who I mentioned a few minutes ago. But, yeah, man, Baker stays at number 5 here on the bye week. Not too much to talk about there. Number 4, a guy who's made his way back on the list. Probably, you could argue I should probably put him even higher, but he's only been back a week so far. is Lamar Jackson. Again, these guys over him have been playing the full season. They've had very good seasons, so I'm not going to rank him above those guys. But when he's at his healthiest, and his team's playing at their best, Lamar's number one to me. I mean, I think Lamar is just fantastic. I do think Lamar is the best quarterback in the NFL when he's just full strength and everything's rolling for Baltimore. But not everything's went Baltimore's way so far to start off the season. They're heating up. They feel like they're kind of getting back in the picture a little bit. And with Lamar back coming off of a very, very, very impressive performance against Miami. Well, it's not necessarily impressive because anyone who goes against Miami is impressive, but still, I mean, coming off an injury, playing really well, looking like a fresh Lamar. He stays at number 4 here. He just is at number 4 here this week. Number 3, got Patrick Mahomes dropping down a couple spots here. I think he was number 1 last week, but kind of a pedestrian performance against the Bills, to be honest with you. He's had a couple of really bad turnovers this year as well. He had like a 98-yard pick 6 against Jacksonville. His offensive line was just kind of getting beat to death against the Bills this weekend and everything. So, and I just think a couple of these guys, or the 2 guys I've ranked over him, played better than Mahomes this week. So, yeah, man, I'm just sticking Mahomes at 3, even though he's been incredible. But kind of more of a pedestrian performance this week, I'd say, against the Bills. Number 2, I have Matt Stafford. He has just been tearing the league up and just feels underrated. Like, Matt Stafford feels underrated. Like, I feel like why ain't he leading the MVP combo as well? I mean, in terms of his passing touchdowns, his passing numbers, I mean, he has just been phenomenal. I forget, what is his numbers? He was like at 17 touchdowns and 2 picks before the Saints. Get a couple of touchdowns against them. It might be like 20 touchdowns and 2 picks or near it or something like that. So, I don't know those exact stats, but he's been fantastic. He's playing like the second best quarterback in the league. Number 1, though, probably no one surprises Josh Allen, especially after a big win against the Chiefs, playing that Superman role. Again, Josh Allen plays at his best when James Cook is getting fed the rock. I really do. Not much to ask of him. He can kind of play at his own pace, his own style, which, again, he has any style. You can ask him to play just about anything you want on the run, whatever you want him to play, he can do it. So, yeah, man, Josh Allen at number 1 here on the list here this week, finds himself back at number 1. So, yeah, man, that's it for my top 10 teams, top 10 QBs, top 10 Tuesday. And a little bit of my reaction to the Cardinals and Cowboys here today. If you guys would make any changes to my rankings, let me know in the comments. I'd be curious to see what you guys would change there. Maybe you'd add anybody, take some people out, whatever you decide to do, let me know. And again, if you like the video, make sure to hit that like button and that subscribe button for me, as it supports the channel a ton. It means a ton to me as well. So, yeah, man, that's it for today's video. See you guys tomorrow on Why Not Wednesday. And everyone take it easy.